We are back with Mean Dean in Prescott, Arizona. Sydney Prescott. Hello, Sydney. What's up, Dean?
Hey, John Delony, how you doing?
I'm remarkable, Dean. What's up?
Hey, I had a question. I was wondering, how do I better show my wife dignity and the respect that she deserves?
Man, that feels like a loaded question. How are you not showing her dignity and respect? Let's start there.
Well, so I grew up, and my parents got divorced when I was about 6,
Okay.
and my dad isn't very respectful to just women in general, whether it be my stepmom, my mom, or my sisters.
How not?
And
Give me an example of how he's not.
Emotionally abusive, verbally, and just manipulative in all the narcissistic ways and things like that.
So
and
give me an example. So I'm your mom,
so-
and I was leaving early in the morning, and I said, "Hey, I'm your stepmom, and I'm gonna go hang out with some friends today, and then I'll have dinner ready at 5:30." And then all of a sudden, hanging out with my friends turns into a couple of drinks, and we have a great day. And then 2 friends show up, and we haven't seen them in a while, and I don't get home till 6. And your dad's at home at 5:30. What does he say?
that would have never happened because of the fear of the silent treatment and being alienated.
So he was he used silence as a weapon.
Yeah. So another thing about him is that he sent me an email about 2 years ago telling me that he didn't want to talk to me or my siblings anymore, and he was justifying that my parent, him cheating on my mom originally, was because he did it for her so she could have a way out of the relationship.
Oh, what a sweet guy. What a great guy.
A hero.
So it sounds like your dad is trapped in a 9-year-old brain and body.
Yeah, I'd say so.
And probably for 1,000 reasons. I don't want to give him a pass, but he's a child. And he just took his ball and I'm going home.
Yeah.
And when somebody says, when the teacher says, "Why did you kick Timmy?" And he said, "Because Timmy wanted to go home, so I just kicked him so he could go home." I mean, just he's an elementary school kid.
Yeah.
And so he weaponized relationships. That's what happens when you use silence as a weapon. So you can hit somebody, you can swear at somebody, or you can cut ties. And it's that has been my weapon of choice, and it's evil, man. It's the number one thing I'm working on in my life. So now you've got, tell me about your kids.
Yeah, so I have a 2-year-old daughter and a 9-month-old daughter.
Dude, can we just stop for a second and say high five to you, brother? What made this come up? What a stud, man, that you looked at your dad and said, "I'm not doing that."
Well, it's been a long process, and just being able to see me and look at myself like third person and see what I'm doing, I could be doing better to change my family tree generationally. So I don't,
Bro, dude, you're a stud, man. That's incredible. Did you marry well?
Yeah, absolutely. My wife is an absolute angel, and I definitely I married up for sure.
Outkicked your coverage. That's awesome, dude. All right. So is there behaviors in yourself that you recognize and your first thought is, "Whoa, I don't like that"?
Yeah, so I think that especially in our first little bit of marriage, about 2 years or so, I was dealing with a lot of my own personal issues, and so I would also alienate myself because I felt like I was hurting her or something like that, and so I would just kind of leave, like emotionally or physically, just for a little bit, and it wasn't what she needed. And then also, I think I just those manipulative tendencies I would use, but I try to acknowledge those things and to not do it when I can see that I am doing something manipulative.
Very cool. So on the other side, so now I'm going to do something that's going to be uncomfortable for you, and I'm going to give your dad a quick moment of grace. On the other side of his immaturity, that feeling, when you start feeling like I can't do anything right, and if I say anything else, it's going to hurt my wife. So what I'm going to do is turn the game on, and I'm going to unplug to protect her from me. And there's a real true, I can see the narrative in your dad's head, which is the best thing for me is if they are not around me. How do I blow this up? Because I don't have the courage to say, hey, I want to leave. Or I want my kids to not be around me because I'm not good, so I'm going to write them this immature letter and act like, does that make sense? So your feelings are, it's the story you were born into with your old man, right? Whew, man. So I got a little girl, so I'm just going to rattle off a few things that I've struggled with and that I'm wrestling with. And you jump in if anything sounds right or you think, ooh, I like that. Okay?
Okay.
The first one is always leaning into when I think the world would be better, when I think my daughter or my son or my wife would be better with me gone, I have to lean in the other way, like a salmon. I got to swim upstream of that feeling. And I got to do it quietly. And so often I try to, when I gear myself to come back and swim upstream, so my body is saying, dude, just get out of here. They don't even want you around. So I go to hug my daughter and she's like, no, Dad, no. And my first thought is, yeah, because you suck at being a dad. That's incorrect. I don't. I'm going to challenge that thought with evidence, and I don't suck at being a dad. But my 5-year-old doesn't want me hugging her or poking on her or making jokes at 5 a.m. So I'm going to lean back into that, and I'm not going to say anything. I might pat her on the head, or I might just touch her hand, or I might just sit down at the table and drink my cup of coffee right across the table from her. So I'm going to lean into that when my every impulse I have is to run. Because my daughter's going to internalize me running as she did something, and I don't want to give her that much power. She doesn't have that much power over me. She's 5. Same with my wife. There are times when I just want to disappear. Like, man, I'm just going to, fine. And I'm not doing that anymore. I'm going to lean in and say out loud, my impulse is to pull away here because I feel like I'm not saying the right things. Can you help me? Where are we? Would your wife talk to you if you ask her a question like that?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So instead of giving advice, ask questions.
Okay.
Not weapon questions either. Like, why are you wearing that? Or what's wrong with you? That's a weapon questions. Those are bullcrap. But I feel like I'm missing the mark here. How can I best honor you right now? And that's a risk because she may say, get the crap get out of my face. And that could hurt. Right? But it's a risk, but we're going to do that. The second one is to really be intentional about respecting your daughter's bodies. And here's what I mean by that. My tendency, I may have talked about this on the show. I know I've talked about it live. My tendency is I'll say, hey, Josephine, come give me a hug. And she'll say, no, I don't want to. And my tendency is to use my dad powers and to say, I'm your dad. I told you to do a thing. Come do it now. And she will, begrudgingly, because I'm dad. I've got bigger muscles than her. I got power. But what I'm teaching her is, at some point, some man will have autonomy over your body. And they will get to tell you what to do with your body. And this turns into, that didn't hurt. And she's saying, yes, it did. And you're getting into her body and telling her what her feelings are. Or, you shouldn't even be that sad. I'm thinking of her in middle school and the boy breaks up with her. And someone she has a crush on just dumps her. And she's heartbroken. And you say, just shake it off. It's all good. That teaches her body, your feelings are not to be trusted. You need to find some man that will have your feelings for you. And so what I'm really combating in my own self is when my daughter says, that hurt, I say, I'm sorry that hurt. Now, my first thought is, no, it doesn't. That didn't hurt at all. Or my first thought is when she says, no, Dad, I say, thank you for using kind words. And then I move on about my day. Because that hug was for me, not for her. And so respecting their body. And that goes into respecting their thoughts. And man, and then the last one here is show up. Just keep showing up and keep showing up and keep showing up. And if you can show up with your little ones at eye level, get down on the floor and look them in the eye, that gives them a sense of connection that kind of equalizes that power dynamic. And it's really magical, especially with a young one. It's incredible. Oh, I got one more. Are you ready for this one?
I think so.
Take care of yourself. Exercise. Have guy friends. Go out once a week with your buddies and keep connected to them. Have a life, have a spiritual life of some sort. Get counseling if you need it. You had a lot of trauma growing up with an immature dad and a divorce and all that stuff. Deal with that stuff and come home whole so your kids can have something to anchor into. How's that?
Okay. That sounds perfect.
Sounds like a lot. And love their mom like crazy. Like crazy.
Mhm.
Hug her a lot if she's cool with that. Kiss a lot.
Yeah.
Be affectionate. Show her what love looks like.
Okay.
Because you are going to be the picture in your daughter's mind of, oh, this is what a man does. This is what love looks like. This is what a romantic relationship looks like. And even if the person they're going to marry is nothing like you, you're given the picture of what that looks like. But I think overall, man, the fact that you're asking this question for a 2-year-old and a 7-month-old, dude, you're so far ahead. High five to you. Anybody out there listening who had parents who sucked, or parents who were going through their own stuff and didn't show up, or parents who wrote you a letter and said, I'm not being your friend anymore, whatever. Man, have the courage to turn and face that storm, because whatever you pass on to your kids gets passed on to their kids, and so on and so forth. You have the strength to turn and stop and say, this ends with me. Good for you, Dean from Arizona, my brother.